This is our eighth wellness dialogue session with Pokar Foundation. I'm Anu Rajiv, and I will be your host for this very special session. Every month, we, through this platform, bring you sessions on mental wellness. We've done empathy, we've done listening, we did grief last month, positive mindset, understanding suicide, so many very relevant and interesting topics. The point, as I always say, is not just to raise awareness. I think we all have enough and more information at our hands these days. It is also to kind of really put that into practice and help us to really build the skills that we can implement what we learn in our daily lives and to support those who are around us, all of our loved ones. Before we jump into the session, I would like to take a few minutes, as always, to introduce Pokar Foundation. We have just completed 1 year in service. We are so excited about that. We started last year in August. We have 22 volunteers and counting. A lot more are joining soon. Uh, we are a, we are an emotional support helpline. We support those who are stressed, depressed, and suicidal. It's free, confidential, non judgmental, emotional support. Need I say more? This is the need of the hour. So I'm so glad that we are all we have been a part of Pokar Foundation, and thank you so much for all of your support as well. We work every day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we would love for you to share this message to all those who you think might be in need of such a service. Um, Before I introduce the speaker and the topic, some housekeeping rules. As always, we will be recording the session. So those of you who miss it, you can always find it on our YouTube channel. We will also have a Q&A at the end. But I know Dr. Asha's style is very interactive and it's so wonderful and engaging. I'm sure she doesn't mind questions during the session, but let's put it on chat so that we're not disrupting the flow. During the Q&A, we will also share a very, very short feedback form. Again, this is for us to kind of know um, what is working for you and what is it that you would like to see more of in our sessions. So do take the time to just fill that out. It'll hardly take a minute for you. This session is very special for us, I think, as it really gives us the opportunity to walk the talk. We keep saying that, we want it not just to be awareness, but also very practical, equip you with skills, tips, tricks to deal with difficult times in life. And this is what this session is all about. Last time we had a session on understanding grief, its stages, the journey of grief. I'm sure, I have no doubt that that has already helped release and helped you in some way or the other in your life. But today is about doing the actual work or seeing ourselves through this process, which is familiar to all of us through this grief process. We have our wonderful, wonderful speaker here, Dr. Asha. Thank you so much, Dr. Asha, for coming again. We really appreciate it. We are honored that you made this time for us in your super busy schedule. I know it must be really crazy, but thank you so much for being here. So for those of you, I'm sure everybody kind of knows Dr. Asha by now, but for those of you few of us who don't, she runs Dr. Asha Sid Academy, soon to be rebranded as Circle of Hope Center for Wellbeing, through which she offers counseling, training, and other services. She's been a counselor, psychologist, psychotherapist for more than 25 years. So we are sitting in a pool of wisdom here. She has carved a niche for herself in the field of mental health for sure, and more than a few thousand people must have benefited from her counseling and coaching. Like I said last time, name a space in mental health, and she has expertise in that, whether it's applied psychology, counseling, family counseling, art therapy, dance therapy, sound healing, family constellations, transactional analysis, you name it. She is a mindfulness coach, happiness coach, a queer affirmative counselor, and like we all know, she is an excellent trainer. I think the way she explained grief to us was so relatable. She does do a lot of training with corporates and educational institutions and other organizations. And above all, I think her warmth just shines through. I think every interaction with her, I'm sure you all would have noticed that aspect of her. So, again, I welcome you and thank you so much, Dr. Asha, for being with us here again. If I may start this session with a question to you, I know this was kind of lingering on my mind from the last session we had. If I may start with a question.
Sure.
You know how they say that we have to accept our emotions because each emotion has a purpose in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Every emotion is important. Every emotion has a purpose. What is the purpose of grief really?
What is
And a
the
follow
purpose
on
of
grief,
what is the purpose of grief? Yeah.
grief, and what I mean, do we ever really overcome grief? Those are my two kind of big questions in my head. So whenever within your talk, if you can just
I'll
address
just
these.
answer it in a sentence or two. And
Totally over to you now. It's your floor. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining. Yes, Asha.
thank you, Anu. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Ujwala. Thank you, all of you who got me in here to talk to everybody. There were a couple of faces that I know, a lot of people I know who are here, who I also invited, and they're here. And before I start, before I even answer Anu's question and then dive deep into how you cope and how you deal with grief or what do you do to overcome grief, before that, it's a humble and a nice, sweet request that I have from each one of you sitting here. You're all sitting in the comfort of your homes, wherever you are, on your dining table, in your bedroom, on your bed, in the drawing room, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. I have traveled overnight and I'm sitting in my friend's home on the floor and taking the session. It's my commitment and hence I am here. Hi, Manjula. So, Subaho, hi. It was nice to see you, Subaho. So, may I request all of you to switch on your videos, however briefly. I know some of you will be compelled to switch it off after some time, but at least now, can I request all of you to switch on your videos because I would like to connect with the people that I talk with rather than some black boxes like the aircrafts have, which I have not seen. So let's not make it the black box like the aircraft. Let's have people on the screen, please. Can I just for a couple of minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, then you can switch off your video. So I know that I can connect and I can relate to the people that I'm talking. Thank you, each one of you, for acceding to my request of switching on your videos. I know a peep into your life, and for all of you to see me. You would have seen me, I wouldn't have seen you. Yes. And now let me start. It is very overwhelming when Anu called me. Dolly said, there's so much of good feedback. We want you to come back and we want you to take at 1 more hour, spend 1 more hour with us talking about how to overcome grief. It was very overwhelming for me as well. And it's also a nice opportunity because probably grief is something which is very misunderstood in this world. So, and now Anu coming back, I will string it in further as I speak. What is grief? We are all taught to deal with emotions. Grief is an umbrella of or a collection of emotions. You can't say grief per se is an emotion. Grief is a state of mind. Grief has with it a lot of emotions. There will be anger, there will be sadness, there will be depression, there will be frustration, there will be a sense of guilt, there will be a sense of shame. All of this, the primary emotions and the secondary emotions come together and they're held together in this umbrella, which sustains into your feeling something. Either it's a sense of disappointment, it's a sense of loss, it's a sense of sorrow, it's a sense of, oh my God, I had to give up. It could mean any one of those things. So grief per se is not an emotion. You can't say I'm experiencing grief is fine. I'm feeling grief. No. I'm feeling sad as I'm grieving is the emotion. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling a sense of betrayal. Yes. Sense of betrayal can also lead you to grief. That is one question. The next question you asked me was, do we really overcome grief at all? Like I told you in the last session, unfortunately, theoretically, there's a rule where we overcome grief, there is a pattern to it, and all of that. Yes, understood, because that's all explained. Some people fall by it, but not everybody. Grief is not something that you plan to finish. It's not like I entered LKG, I finished 10th standard, and now I have to go to the PUC. I finished my boards, and then I'm free, I'm married, I had a child, and I'm done. Or I did that, and then I'm finished with something. No, grief is not like that. What happens? Like you lose a parent. Do you ever stop grieving for them? We don't. All of us, how many of you fallen in love when you were teenagers with a boy or a girl? Okay, all of us have fallen in love. We didn't marry them, we didn't fall into a relationship with them and all of that. Don't you, after having lived a life happily, married life happily ever after with children and so many misgivings, etc., 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 don't you once in a way go back to that first crush of yours, that first love of yours, and say, oh my God, that was right, it was a part of my life. I wouldn't call it grief, but what is it? It is that momentary feeling of, I missed something. It could have been. There's a momentary or a transitory point of sadness. And have you been able to get rid of it? You probably don't know where that person is now. You don't know how he or she looks. He doesn't know how you look. But yet in your heart, there is an association to a past event or a past occurrence. Likewise, can you really overcome grief? You lost your parent, you lost your pet, you didn't get a promotion which you had to get, you didn't scale up. It leaves a mark with you. Does it go away? No, it does not. Every person who's lost a promotion which he felt he was capable of and he didn't get it, he grieved through it. Then next time when there's a promotion in the offing, his connection is not to this promotion. His connection is to the previous one. Oh, last time I failed, I didn't get it. Now what will happen to me? So there is so much anxiety. So nothing we leave behind. That's where somewhere I read, and I totally and strongly believe it, which says you don't let go. What happens is grief is not something that you grow out of. Grief remains, you remain. The memory kinds of fades away, but it still exists. It is a point of reference in your mind. And why does it weaken? It weakens because we are people who are growing every minute. We are changing every minute. How many of you agree with it? I see a lot of nods, right? So you say, you eat a masala dosa, you were hungry. You ate a masala dosa, what happened? Satiated? You're happy momentarily. The next minute, your wife said something to you or your husband said something to you, gone. That happiness of eating the masala dosa is gone. You've gone to move to something else, right? So exactly like this, what happens? It remains with you, but life grows because we change, life changes, life is changing, and so are we. Hence, as life grows, this starts to diminish, not that it ever disappears from our horizon. It is always there. So, if you have a belief that I'm going to overcome grief and I'm going to think of my parents without ever having to cry about it, I'm sorry, let me dispel all doubts that you have in your mind. You will never reach that stage. You will never reach that stage where you can look back at your life and say, oh my God, I've gotten over it totally. Yeah, you've gotten over it because you're doing something else now. But that remains. Does that answer your question, Anu?
Yes, beautifully so as well. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So well explained.
And
Thank you.
also because thank you, Dolly. I also want all of us to understand that grief, if you're looking at it as overcoming grief, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. You've all been to beaches, right? How many of you gone to the beaches? How many of you love the sea? I love with both my hands. I love the sea. I love to sit in. I love the sound of the waves. I love the sound of the ocean, the sound of the sea. What happens? There's a huge wave. How many of you have actually walked into the sea and been carried by the waves? It picks you up, it takes you to a high, and then it drops you, and then it recedes. If you were to look at grief, very figurative, very poetic, but this is exactly what grief is. If you want to overcome, it'll take you on a tempo, it'll end. Are you willing? If we all try to catch hold of the sea and say, I want to be on the high all the time, not possible, right? How many of you have held a handful of sand in your hand? Anytime you've experienced, gone to a beach, held it tight. If it is damp, it stays in the form of a lump. If it is not, and if it is dry, what happens? It just trickles through and falls. That's exactly what happens to me. And the belief is standard dialogue. Now I'm going to go into overcoming grief. Standard dialogue that we all hear when I'm only focusing on loss of life, but there are other griefs also. If you have questions, I'll answer it. Don't wait for the end of the sessions to ask questions, please, guys. I'm skillful enough to connect back to the topic. So I'm confident of that. So you can interrupt me and ask questions as well. So if you lose somebody, or even if you lose a promotion, if you've lost out on a relationship, if your boyfriend or girlfriend has ditched you, what is the one common thing that people tell you? Think. All of us have been through all the three situations in life.
Time is the one.
We feel betrayed.
Time
Pardon me?
heals everything. Time heals everything.
Time heals everything. Okay, one. Yes, time does not. Life heals. Time does not heal anything.
It's okay. You will get over it.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, right. It's not okay, right? I've lost my boyfriend has ditched me, and it is not okay. Really, it is not okay.
Exactly.
I lost my parent, and somebody comes and says, it's okay, your father or mother was 90 years old. Well, 90 or 100, it is my father. It is a problem for me, right? I have a pet dog, I lost it. It is a problem because I love the pet dog. I didn't get a promotion. It is a bloody problem for me. Sorry for bad language. Please forgive me for bad language. It's a problem. The first thing that people will tell you is, it's okay. They do not know what the definition of okay.
Right.
Neither do I know. What is okay? My life is not okay. And somebody is saying it's okay. It's not okay. Ask them what is okay. They don't know what is okay. But they've heard it somewhere, so they're rattling it to you. The next thing they'll tell you is, be strong. Why should I be strong? I don't need to be strong. I want to be weak. I want to cry. I'm missing my mother. I want to cry. I will cry. So what? But the next thing they'll tell you is, I'm coming, Anu. The next thing they'll tell you is, move on. Who has to decide how fast the wave has to ebb? I have to decide, right? Whether I want to move on or whether I want to be stuck. Whose choice is it? So when we have to cope, theoretically, I'm going to give you 5 steps. If you want, all of you note it down. Again, statutory warning, theoretical. First one, acknowledgement. The first step for overcoming grief is acknowledgement. What does acknowledgement mean? Acknowledgement means to recognize that I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling betrayal, I'm feeling frustration, whatever I'm feeling, that is the first thing. Because I have missed out on an opportunity, I have lost something, be it material, be it a relationship, be it health, be it anything. Then to come to a level of acceptance to say, yeah, hell, I am not well. It's making me very sad. But then I say, yes, this is what I have got. All of us get different things, right? I love masala dosa, I get a plain dosa. Somebody loves a dark chocolate, somebody gets a white chocolate. Life is always giving you curveballs. Life is never going to be straight and give you what you want. It'll always give you something that you don't like. मुझे तो जामुन चाहिए मगर मिला तो करेला. But you have to make do with it. So whatever you've got, you have to accept it. That's why I said theoretical. Second point is, allow to feel emotions. And whatever may be the emotion. How many of you can do it? To proudly say, I am feeling angry. I feel like punching Manjula in the face right now. Sorry, Manjula, I don't mean it. I'm just taking it as just as a point because your screen appears first on my computer. I feel it, but I haven't done it. But now, will anybody voice it also? Because in your head, there is another voice which says right and wrong. I should not think like this. More so if it happened to be my child, I should not think like this. I have to be responsible. I have to teach good and right. So, how many of us have the ability to say, I will allow every emotion to pass through me, irrespective of what it is, without holding the lamp of judgment onto this emotion? Right? The third one is seek support. Me including, I'll tell you a real life story in a short while. I'll cut it short and make it very brief. Seek support. Probably racial, or probably because we're women. There are a couple of men also. I don't know if they also do that. I'm sure they do it much more than we do. We want to be strong. What we're going through. It's easier to hide behind the closed eyes and closed doors and grieve in private. And to ask somebody for help means you're weak. Just give you a small example. I lost my mom in 2015. For such of you who know this story, people who know me intimately in this group, you may have heard this story, but still, I think for the benefit of everybody else, I'm telling you this because I want to put it out into the open saying what happens sometimes we don't even recognize. I lost my mother in 2015. She battled with cancer for about a year and I lost her. When she's suffering with cancer, we knew every day was a journey where she's going to go. She was in remission, 6 chemos. She was in remission. She was cancer free. She had a heart attack and then she died out of a heart attack, not out of cancer. But when she died, I'm the therapist, right? 25 years of service, 25 years of experience, the oldest sister in the family, the one who held the family together. So many, what do you say, all the horns on the head, all that exalted position that I hold in this world. I didn't do it consciously, but I lived my life. I felt I had made peace with the fact that I let my mom go. If you ask me, did I feel sad? I felt sad. Then I said, okay, I've dealt with it. I'm trained. I'm in therapy also, all of that, etc., etc., etc. I went on with my life. 8 days after my mother passed away, mid-sentence, I lost my voice. I lost my voice, and there was something like vocal cord paralysis and all of that. I went to a doctor. I went to hundreds of doctors, exaggerated figure, not the honest number. I went to hundreds of doctors and they all said, you will never speak. I was crying. Now I was crying. I want to talk. This is what I do best. And if somebody takes this away from me, what do I do with the rest of my life? I was sitting and crying. And fortunately or unfortunately, in Vikram Hospital in Bangalore, I met a young doctor, a neurologist. You know, those days were so funny. I had to write. I constantly would hold a book and write what I had to tell. I'll show it to them. They'll read and they'll answer because I could hear. Then he laughed. He asked me, what do I do for a living, etc., etc., and what happened, all of that. Then he laughed and he said, you are a psychotherapist, you are a psychologist. He said, you don't know, you didn't think. I said, what should I think? He said, you need to go to the psychiatrist. I said, what? He said, go. He said, you lost your voice because of shock. The grief that I held in, which I thought I had dealt with, affected a part of my body, which was the weakest. And then, of course, physical therapy, some medicines, physically, organically, something was wrong with me. So they treated all of that. But side by side, I also had to go into deeper therapy, everyday therapy, take some medication for some time, all of that I did. Why I'm telling this to you? We all think we are safe. We all think we are masters of what to do with our lives. But once in a way, life gives us, if I can use local colloquial language, it gives you a lath on the backside and says, get going. You're not learned life still. That's exactly what life did. And then I realized it took all of a 26-year-old doctor to tell this gray-haired woman, you're a psychologist and you're not thought of it. That's holding the mirror in your life. So seeking support doesn't mean seeking the help of a psychiatrist. And seeking support does not mean talking to your siblings. Seeking, if necessary, professional help. Seeking, if necessary, a group of people where you feel safe to talk about whatever you're feeling. And then the fourth aspect is coping mechanisms. What are these coping mechanisms? These days, though, it is being used left, right, and centers. Cope with that, cope with this. What is this cope? Cope is nothing but what do you do on an everyday basis to deal with a issue, whether it is death, whether it is disappointment, whether it is illness, whatever may be. How are you going to look at it? Like taking back my mother's example, I knew she's going to die. Doctors gave her 1 year time. She lived for exactly 8 months and 12 days. That's all she lived. I have it calculated to the end of how many days she lived. 8 months and 12 days. Doctor said 1 year. But just because I knew she's going to die, I can't sit around and say, oh, Amma, you're going to die. Amma, you're going to die. No. I had to live my life, right? I also had to keep her happy. This is coping. When somebody dies, you cope. What do you do to cope? Essentially, to make a plan of action to live your life to the best of your abilities when you're taking care of yourself. Eating, sleeping, exercising, mindfulness, meditation, music, singing, whatever is true for you. I don't know. Me, I'm a whole lot more into art now because that's my way of expression. This art is never going to be published, is never going to be shown, never going to be exhibited, but it is for my consumption. I express through art. Then slowly, the fifth and the last point is to look, building up a mindset where you're looking forward to life. One thing in life does not limit you. Okay? How do you build that mindset? When you have to build that mindset, now comes to the actual coping. First point, self-compassion. How can you be compassionate to yourself? Whenever we have lost a pet, whenever we've lost somebody, when we have lost a promotion, or even take when you're going through a harrowing time because it could be of illness, because it could be a financial, how many of us sit down and start to blame ourselves? I could have done this better. I should have done this. I must have done this. I should have asked. So what is the voice you hear in your head? It's like somebody is sitting over in the top of your head. There's a bird sitting here, or if there's one of your parental voices sitting here and saying, I told you so. You should have done this. You could have done this better, right? Then what happens? You're being critical of your own self. Now, can you take away that voice and say, I will be gentler with myself? I deserve the love. First point, any form of grief, disfranchised, complicated, anticipatory, whatever. I told you all the different kinds of grief, right? And any kind of grief, the first point, real ground rule is to be self-compassionate, is to be loving towards your own self. Whether or not you can change the life, change world or life around you, you can change the way you look at yourself. You deserve love. If somebody else is not willing to give it to you, give it to your own self. No greater love than the love that you can give yourself. And giving yourself love is not selfishness. And even if somebody points it out as selfishness, from today, look back at them straight in their eye and tell them that I taught you this, and tell them it's called good selfish. I'm not harming anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm loving myself and I'm being selfish in a good way. Can you all take that moment to pause and say that you will be selfish in a good way from today? Take care of yourself, love yourself. Now, a lot of people have asked me, what is love myself? Love yourself is to be kind to yourself, to forgive yourself of your faults, to accept the negatives in your personality, to accept the deficits that you have. All of us can't be the best at everything, right? To accept that. That is called self-love. When you look at yourself and say, I'm as good as anybody else. I'm not Kamala Harris. I'm not Modi. I'm not Abdul Kalam. Neither am I Aishwarya Rai or Rekha. But I am Asha. I am Bindas just the way I am, with a half bald head and lot of gray hair and very fat. Subahu will endorse my opinion. He's seen me when I was very young. I am 3 times my size. I'm happy. I'm able to carry. My feet are able to carry my weight. So no regrets whatsoever. That is self-compassion. Can you all look at yourself like that and make a promise to yourself? Then you will see how easy it is to overcome grief. Now, the next one after self-compassion is to say any grief, whether anticipatory, whether it is loss of life, whether it is a divorce that has happened, whether you're broken up with your boyfriend, whether you have an impending surgery, whether you have something going on in life which is making you sad, can you give yourself the permission to grieve? Not fall into the trap where people say, be strong. If you become weak, what will happen to your children? If you become weak, what will happen to your wife? Boss, they will take care of their lives. You take care of your life first. Give yourself the permission to grieve. And there is no shame attached to grief. Why, I will tell you. It's been 2015, my mother passed away. It's been close to 9 years, not close to 9 years. September 27th, she passed away. It's 9 years now since she died. I celebrate her existence. I keep talking about her in every other forum that I can talk about, because she was an anchor and she was the pivotal person in my life. But are there days for no reason I'm on a walk at Sankey Tank in the morning and some memory comes back and then I feel like sitting and howling? Wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, this is not the best way. I'm not subscribing and saying, all of you follow this, but this is what I do. I feel like it. I find a place, I sit, I cry. After 2 minutes, that whole wave has passed, it has ebbed. Then I pick up and say, let me finish my walking. I thought of Amma, I cried. And it's going to happen to everybody, whatever may be the cause of you. You feel like you come overcome it. Oh, I'm on the road, go. Hey, life will take you back. So give yourself the permission to grieve. And then talk to someone. You don't necessarily have to talk to a therapist, but they are the best. This is marketing, okay? I'm a therapist, so I'm marketing also. So jokes apart, you don't have to necessarily talk to a therapist. But talk to somebody within your circle who is capable of telling you it is okay to grieve. Don't go and talk to somebody who will say, be strong, you should leave things behind, you should move on. I don't know how to move on. Really, in life, I don't know how to move on. People give you all this quick fixes, no? It's like we're all broken toys. You can take Fevicol and put some Fevicol ki jod, you can fix something. No. As long as people are not telling you to fix yourself, talk to such people. And if you don't have such people in your life at this moment, make a promise to yourself that you want to find somebody like that. They could be younger. They could be somebody from the illiterate world. It could be your dog. I don't know who you're going to talk to, but find somebody who will listen to you without judgment, who will listen to you without advice, who will listen to you without fixing you. No, you should be thankful of how much you have. No, enough of these gratitude lessons, enough of this positive mindset. I don't want a positive mindset. I want to wallow in this sorrow. Will somebody listen to you and say, okay, you feel like crying? Cry. You're welcome. That's the only reason therapists are better. You pay them money and then you cry, they will listen to you and they'll take the money also. I'm not dehumanizing or belittling therapists. I'm a therapist of a good standing, but I'm saying why that place is safe is because they give you that space to be yourself. So find somebody. If you don't have, please go and find yourself a therapist. And a very cliched statement which says, trust that you're not alone in this. When I say trust that you're not alone in this, it doesn't mean to say, ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Gautam Buddha story, you remember? Then go and get one mustard seed from a house which has had no sorrow. Yeah, every house has sorrow. But imagine if Rushikesh has come to me and is crying, and I tell him, Rushikesh, what? You know Subahu, you know Bharat, you know all these people, they also have gone through all those things. This boy is going to tell me this one is in loose language, loser. I will not go to her. Right? What did I do just now? I belittled what he's going through. When I say trust that you're not alone, the feeling is that there are people who will stand behind you. You're not alone in this journey of life. I may want X to support me. X will not support me. But there will be one ABC who will support me. Take their support. You're never alone in this race. And the fourth point, after this, after about 5 minutes, I'll take you through actual activities which will help you calm down so that you don't build anxiety. Be aware that even if you feel that you've gotten life under control, it will again take you back. Bring you forward, bring you back. Bring you forward, take you back. So be prepared for the yo-yo that happens when it comes to grief. One day in the morning, you're feeling very nice and happy. Suddenly something happens and you're sad. In your mind, if you say, I want to be happy, I've gotten over it, I want to be happy, then you're setting up yourself for disaster. So say, I'm happy in the moment. When I feel sad, I'll deal with that sadness too. How many of you clear about this? Next, start living moment to moment. AA principles, Alcoholic Anonymous, one day at a time. I have brought it down to one moment at a time. I've traveled from Bangalore to Coimbatore. I'm sitting in Coimbatore in my friend's house. As soon as I got off the train, I got a beautiful cup of coffee. I relished it. Wow. That was pure blissful joy. Bharat, this is to make you jealous. Blissful joy. Moment is past. Then I knew 11 o'clock I have to come. Everything is here. But still I had to quickly make notes. Hard work. That's a different moment. I enjoyed that. I came here. The feeling, the euphoria is different. I'm enjoying this. After this, I'll do something else. So moment to moment, start living. And establish any kind of grief, establish a regular daily routine. When I say daily routine, sleeping at the same time, eating at the same time, interacting with outsiders, with friends, with family, with blah, blah, blah at the same time, cultivating a hobby, experiencing it as a daily practice. Some of you may be praying. Many of us in the Indian context, every day, if all of you know Kannada, Deepa hachtivi, Devar Munde Kai Mugitivi. If that's your practice, follow it. These are called daily discipline activities that keep you grounded. Because life is not only about everything else, it is about holding it in space. In the same context, right now, I want all of you to put away your pens, papers, whatever you're doing. This is called a grounding technique. Okay, it's a part of breath work, it's a part of CBT, it's a part of multiple therapeutic modalities and frameworks. It's called the principle of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If any of you know, so be it, but please do it with me, all of you. Do it with full involvement. Sit down with your feet firmly on the ground. Keep your eyes open. I'm not taking you into meditation. Look around the room and very slowly let your eyes look around the room. Pick up 5 objects that you connect to. Anything.
छत्री घेऊन जावी लागेल.
Okay, once you connect it to the 5 objects that you can see, now look at, pay attention to 4 things that you can hear other than my voice. Don't count my voice. Sit in silence. Don't close your eyes. Pick up 4 sounds around you. Whatever you find. Do every activity mindfully, slowly, gracefully. There is no hurry in this world. Now, after you identified 4 sounds that you can hear, feel 3 objects around you. Touch 3 objects around you and feel it. It could be your pen, it could be the button on your shirt, it could be the tabletop, it could be anything. 3 objects that you can touch and feel. Feel the objects for their texture, for their temperature, for their shape, for their interaction with your skin. Make a note of whatever you're experiencing as you handle the objects. Now
गेली ना बस गेली ना.
bring your awareness to 2 things that you can smell around you. If you're sitting at home, something cooking in the kitchen, if you have sprayed deodorant, your own deodorant. 2 things that you can smell. And lastly, 1 thing that you can taste. Just swallow a little bit of your saliva. You can taste it. If you had a coffee before the session, if you pay attention, you'll be able to actually taste the coffee in your mouth, on your tongue, on your palate. Now just get back in touch with your breath. You've done 5 things that you saw, 4 things that you heard, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. There was an experience as you did all of this. Live that experience. Whatever comes up for you is your experience. There is no one answer, there is no one truth. Just check back on your breathing and check for your own self. You don't have to tell me. Has your breathing changed? Has it become deeper? Has it become calmer? Has it become slower? I'm not saying very slow, I'm saying slower. This is an activity you can do. It's called a grounding technique. It's a mindfulness practice. It's a breath work practice. Multiple modalities use this. Thank you, Neha. Neha says, I'm feeling calm. Yes. So you can do this 100 times in a day. You can do this 10 times in a day. Whenever you feel you need to center yourself, ground yourself, do this. Another technique which I will teach you right away. This is when a memory or a thought kicks in. Oh my God, kind of a moment. You all faced it, right? I recently lost my puppy dog in the month of March. The last 4 days, I know he's going to go. He's in a happier place now. I knew. But every time I saw him, when he could sit and stand up, or when he couldn't stand up and he could sit. If he stood up, he couldn't sit. If he sat, he couldn't stand up. He used to struggle. He used to bleed from his foot. There are multiple things that happened. Every time I looked at him, it's, oh my God. Because I know the end is inevitable. It's going to happen. But still my stupid heart that it is, like the Hindi movie, Pink Wala Heart jo rehta hai, it's beating dub 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 and it's saying I'm going to lose weekly. It's not a nice feeling, right? It is anticipatory that you're going to lose something. Then what do you do? There's anxiety, there is a kind of a distress there. Then you do what I'm going to teach you now. I'm explaining and you do it for 3 cycles. Take a deep breath in. As you're breathing in, count 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold again for 1, 2, 3, 4. This is called as box breathing. It is done in multiple ways. It is done as 4, 7, 8. It's done 4, 4, 4. It was discovered or documented by an American psychologist where he helped his American troops when they were on the field to manage their anxieties. You do this box breathing, you will instantly feel yourself calming down. Okay? All of you do it. I am not going to count. I'm only going to say inhale, hold, exhale, hold. You do your counting and you do it with me. Let's begin. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. 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 Inhale, Exhale. Hold. Now come back to normal breathing, your own rhythm. And just look at how you're feeling. Next. These are two techniques to calm your mind when you're in the actual, what do you say, the pit of grief or the pit of sorrow or the pit of sadness. You go through highs and lows. When you're on the height and you say, oh my God, life is not worth living, do these two activities. This is not just meant for you. If any therapists out here, you practice it with your clients. Thank you, Asmita. Yeah. Now, the other thing that we all do when we are grieving, all of us, our clients, our family members, we have a tendency to isolate ourselves. We tend to withdraw because life is difficult. Can we just make it a point to go out? When I say go out, I don't mean go out to movie, McDonald's, burgers and cutlets. No. Go out to a place in nature where there is greenery around you. Take that lazy stroll somewhere. Connect with the green in the world. It is calming. Another idea. All of you go back today, buy yourself a plant. A small pot with a plant. You get it for 100, 200 rupees. Available in Amazon. Big Basket also sells. Swiggy Instamart sells. Get yourself a small plant in a pot. It's speaking to the plant, nurturing the plant. No matter what your mood about grief is, whatever grief you're feeling, the minute you connect to nature, the minute you connect to life outside of you, life becomes so much more in control. Nothing in our life will change. I lost my mother, that's a hard fact. She's not going to come back. 9 years she hasn't come back. I don't think she'll come back ever again. So if she hasn't come in 9 years, she's no reason to come back after 9 years. So she's not going to come back. That's hard reality. But I do this. I know my mom loved so many things. I'll explain that in another next 2 minutes. I'm also running out of time. It's already 11:55. As is normal with me, I always lose out on time. Okay, connect with nature. Connect with plants. Connect with greenery. Right? So that's what you could do quickly. And if we are talking of death, please create what is known as a memory jar for the person you have lost. There are many activities that I can do. I can tell you. The best one that I believe is create a memory jar. Buy yourself a small glass bottle. It is not even about death. It's about your own life. If you're just looking at life, create a memory jar in which every day make it a point to drop a piece of paper with some memory that you recalled, preferably something nice that happened to you. Drop it in that box. Your memories, good memories with the departed souls. Your own life. It's called the timeline activity, where I start writing everything about my life in the period of 5 years. In that, you can write even negative things. But when you look back at the timeline, oh my God, I lost my dad when I was like this. I had a divorce when I was 40. I lost my dad when I was 48. I lost my mom when I was 50. I lost my pup, but then I got a promotion. I got my PhD awarding. All of that will go on, right? I was awarded my PhD, whatever. When you start writing a timeline, what do you see there when you look back? Life is giving you bad, but it's also giving you good. when you look back, what happens? Your sorrow about what you're going through diminishes. That's one. Create a memory jar. If you're talking of your mother, if you're talking of your father, all the beautiful memories that we have. In fact, in my personal life, in my home, I have a jar, one for my mother, one for my dad. We have created a scrapbook out of all the things that we wrote. We have created a collage after the bottle got full. We created a beautiful collage out of all the memory strips and said, that's mom for us. We don't have pictures of my mom and my father. We have these kind of things in our house. It's a collage with all our memories, beautiful memories. She would pull our legs, she would, so many funny things she would do. So all those things are beautiful things. And also consciously, if it is about people you have lost, relive their lives. My mom's birthday every year. She's no longer alive. I celebrate her birthday. And you know what I do on that day? I call all the people who knew her and know me and give them jalebi and samosa. Because for her, you give her 1 kg of jalebi, she will eat the whole thing. You give her samosa, she will love. She doesn't want food. She wants samosa, she wants jalebi. My father, his birthday, we celebrate with books. We read books, we discuss books, we gift books to people. That was who he was. This is who my mother was. So create such rituals in your life for the people you have lost. We can all do it. Like my B2 who passed away in, Beetle is my dog, we call him B2. He passed away in March. From March to now, on 29th, we lost him. On 27th of March, we lost him. So every 27th, every month, I'm going out to a place in Bangalore and feeding. There's a place where stray dogs are housed. They're kept in one place. They're not on the road. I'm not feeding dogs on the road, but I'm going to a particular place. The food that my dog used to enjoy, I go and feed all of them. I play with those dogs for about an hour or so, and then I come back. Because that's what he would love. That's what I'm recreating in my life. Because anybody we have lost has left us with good memories. We have to recall those memories. And also understand that grief is not linear. Grief is circular. Grief is cyclic. Grief is going to come back. If you have to do this much self-care, 5 points, start creating scrapbooks, start creating celebrations, start doing things that they enjoy, talk to people about them. None of you knew my mother 1 hour ago. But today, all of you know right now, after 1 hour, you know a little bit about my mom, right? She was a fun person. She loved jalebi. She loved samosas. It's not important for you to have known her personally. But you're already connected to her in a very minuscule way. And I love doing this. I love talking about her. Am I missing her? Yes, I'm missing. Am I feeling sad? Right now, I'm not feeling sad. Probably it'll hit me some other time. So this is what is known as creating. The other things are message in the bottle. How many of you know what a message in the bottle is? Next time you go to the river, go to the sea, buy a small bottle. Or if you are in the habit of kabhi kabhi wine, kabhi kabhi whiskey, write a note, clean the bottle well, put it, cap it, throw it into the sea. Let it float, let it go. That's one. I do this with my clients, with younger clients, with teenagers. I make them write a letter to the person that they have lost, to the opportunity that they have lost, to whatever is their grief. Make them write a letter about what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, to pour their heart out into that letter. Go and buy a helium-filled balloon, gas-filled balloon, tie it to the string, and let it out into the sky. It seems like a silly activity to do. But believe me, there is an association at the subconscious and the unconscious part of your brain that when you release it, there is some part of your heart that opens out. because this is the truth. When there is grief, your heart closes. So you have to strive to open your heart to world, to growth, to life to happen again. So when you let it out, life happens. When life happens, grief lessens. When grief lessens, you become healthier. And when you become healthier, you live for however long you have to live in a balanced fashion. With that, I will stop. Otherwise, I can rattle for another 2 hours. But we will take sharing and question answers. I will stop talking. I hope all of you got enough tips for coping with grief. Anu, I can't hear you. You're saying something, I can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, wonderful. I was just saying, I think we could also listen to you for 2 hours more if you still went on. I'm pretty sure because there was not a peep in the room. We were all so enthralled. I think warmth is what is the word that's coming to my mind. It was so warm, so real. Really, really appreciate every point that you've mentioned. It's so practical, so real. Thank you so very much.
Welcome. There's a lot.
I'm sure. And if you say that, you know what we are going to say. We are going to call you again and again and trouble you. But we are so grateful that you're here today. Thank you so much. And thank you all for patiently listening